Alright, this is Sky Dog with ESC Rocks Magazine, and we're talking to a rock band. We're actually at Stage A&E back in Pittsburgh again, talking to a rock band. You guys are well known. No introductions needed, man. Clutch. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome, man.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man.
All right.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us your role in the band?
Yep, my name is Tim Sult, and I play guitar in Clutch.
That's so awesome, man. One of the questions that we have is basically you guys have been around for 20 years. You know, 2 decades.
It's getting ridiculous.
It's awesome, man. What's the secret behind the longevity of Clutch?
I don't know. I guess we just kept moving artistically forward, and we never got bored with ourselves. And I don't know. I guess maybe after about 10 years or so, it just got too late for us to go back and get real jobs. So we kind of had to keep doing this. So here we are at this point. We've been kind of we're here. Right. We're probably not going to go away anytime soon.
Now, if you weren't playing in this band, what would you be doing right now?
Honestly, the last job I had was working at UPS. So I would probably be working at UPS.
Alright, that's cool. Now, was there ever a point in your guys' career that you seemed like there may have been like major setbacks?
I mean, there's really been no huge setbacks as far as touring goes, but I mean, it took a really, really long time for us to start making real money where we could actually go out and live and pay our bills.
Right.
That was probably the hardest part at the beginning, not making any money whatsoever, But there have really been no extreme setbacks. We've been on a lot of labels, and there's been a lot of time between albums sometimes, but
right.
Luckily there's been no major setbacks.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I mean, we've been doing it for, I guess it's been 22 years now. So, yeah, we move slowly and take small baby steps and gradually built it up,
All right. Well, with 20 years under your belt, 20-some years, you guys have done so much stuff in the past, like won so many accolades, been so successful. What do you think, that you guys, what you personally, Tim, would want to do, that you haven't already done?
That we haven't already done. I mean, we're still just a small club band at this point. We go out and we play the clubs. Obviously, this place in Pittsburgh is one of the bigger places that we would play for sure. But we would just want to take the band up to the next level. Be able to play all venues like this all over the country.
That's cool. The nice thing I like always talking about a band, especially been around. You probably know where I'm going to go with this one. That's been around before the internet has been around.
Yes.
Exactly. Pros and cons. When the internet came about, a lot of bands thought, well, this is a good idea to, be able to introduce our music into more, people. But then you got Napster and LimeWire. What do you think the pros and cons were with the technology when it came out with the internet?
Well, back then, honestly, I never went on the internet until I was like 27 or 28 years old. So I was kind of a late bloomer as far as that goes. I really didn't see a huge impact back in those days because bands were still selling albums, and we didn't sell a huge amount of albums, but we were selling a few albums. And back then, I really didn't notice it as taking away from anything. But over the years, I did notice that our albums were selling less and less, but our shows were getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
And a lot of people coming to the shows were also younger and younger. So obviously, people were being exposed to the music through the internet, whether it's illegal downloading or not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at this point, obviously you can't stop it. I always go on YouTube and listen to music and watch old videos from bands. I mean, if I would have had access to that when I was a child, I would have, I wouldn't have had to get a job working at a grocery store to buy Led Zeppelin tapes, what I mean? So, the pros and cons are, you're immediately exposed to all the music that's ever been created. The cons are some record companies went out of business.
Right. Well,
That's the way I look at it.
And you guys actually started your own record label company in 2008.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. We never made any money off any of the albums we ever put out on major labels or anything we did in the 90s before the internet. The only way we've ever made money putting out our music is by putting it out on our own. So, yeah. For us personally, we make more money nowadays, and I don't think it has anything to do with the internet. It just has to do with our personal business model.
Right. Now it seems like, like more or less, like, like touring, being up on stage.
Oh yeah, I mean that's always been the main thing for Clutch, going on tour and selling merchandise. That's how we've always gotten by, and that's how we've always been able to fund it. Back in the early days.
Right. Now, talking about the album, the Earth Rocker, the latest album that just came out. It's actually their 10th studio album, released March 15th. Tell us a little bit about the album and how it came about.
Well, I mean the album came about over about 3 or 4 year writing process.
Damn.
We really didn't start cracking down and trying to finish the album until a few months till actually it was done. But yeah, I mean we had so many ideas that we'd laid down over the years between Strange Cousins and Earth Rocker that we just had a ton of riffs to choose from, and it was a rather painless process. The hardest part was deciding what to cut.
Right.
So we recorded, I think it was 3 or 4 other songs as well. So yeah, I mean it was one of the easiest albums that we ever made.
That's awesome. With the label company you guys have, where they're making music, you guys, have you looked into, are you looking to possibly maybe like sign any other artists along with that?
It's come up before, but at this point we have no plans to do that. But I guess in the future it could possibly happen,
Now, with the album that came out, what's the reaction with the fans? How are they, accepting this? What's the responsiveness with them?
The response is definitely way better than I ever expected. We played every song off the new album the other night, and people seem to know all the words to it already, so that was pretty great.
Well, that's sweet, man. What have you guys done differently with this album, that makes it different from your previous releases?
I don't know what makes it hugely different. They're just different songs, really. Maybe the songs are a little more riffed out, but melodic.
Okay.
Maybe that's how it would differ from our other albums. While it's heavy and hard-hitting, it's also very melodic. So maybe that's the only difference I really hear.
Okay.
It all sounds the same to me.
That's awesome.
I'm too close to it,
That's cool. And now, how difficult has it been to manage your career at the same time manage a family?
Well, I'm kind of a late bloomer to having kids, so luckily my wife's at home taking care of the kids right now, so it hasn't really been that difficult. I know she needs help sometimes, right, obviously, but yeah, I mean it's really not that hard. I've been with my wife since 1998, so she knows the deal, and she's gone out on tour. She knows what it's all about, and she knows that's why we have to go on tour, to make money,
Right.
So yeah, it's really not the hardest thing in the world, but of course sometimes I miss them quite a bit, obviously, but
yeah,
it's like that for everybody with anybody at home, It's not the hardest thing ever.
Now, if your kids were to come to you and say, listen, like years down the line, and said, Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to be in a rock band. What advice would you give them?
Don't quit. If you want to do it, just don't quit,
That's awesome. Another thing that we also do with the magazine is that we incorporate local bands along with, obviously, like yourself, like national artists. What advice would you give to young musicians that are starting out, that are trying to, create a name, and they're running through problems? What would you say?
Running into problems in what ways?
Well, in other words, all right, they don't want to travel, they have girlfriends, there's like a number of different things.
Okay. Well,
come on, we're talking.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to go out there and go on tour and travel and play shows if you want to be in a rock band. That's just one of the things that comes along with it. So, get used to it. And if you just want to stay around at home and be a musician and play around your town and just play the local bars and grills, there's nothing wrong with that either. That's a totally legitimate thing to do.
Right. Now you guys are at Stage A&E here tonight. Last question here is, what do we expect to see from you guys up on stage tonight?
Well, I haven't seen the set list yet. We usually make a different set list every night. But, yeah, we're just going to try to deliver some straight-up riffs to your face. That's pretty much what we always try to do, We just try to play our songs as good as we possibly can.
Right. Rock out, man. Any last, maybe something that I might not touch base on that you want your fans out there to know, either about yourself, or maybe, you don't want them to know about yourself, or, or about Clutch?
What do I want them to know? Nothing. I want them to come to their own wild conclusions about us. I don't know. I have no idea.
Nah, that's cool, man. That's so awesome. Tim, man, I really appreciate talking to you, man. You're awesome, man. Tim, Clutch.